Hey, this is Stacia, and today we are going to analyze a game played by Wei Yi, a young Chinese superstar. and, well, this is part of my training. I'm taking you guys along with me because one of my new favorite things to do is to analyze games from openings that I want to play or need to know better, and especially to get new middle game ideas. Well, I found this game by Wei Yi in the database by ChessBase, and it's actually a fast game. So I was like, wow, well, if Wei Yi can win with the white pieces against a strong grandmaster like Tigran Petrosian, then I think that is a game that I want to know. So we're gonna have a look at this, and we are going to try to step through it and understand what's going on in the opening and especially the middle game, and then of course we'll finish up since it's a short game. Okay, so I wanted to see the PIRC Defense and specifically the Unzicker Attack mainline, which if you don't know, it goes like this: e4. Okay, I was actually expecting d6 to go into the PIRC, so this must be a transposition type thing. So g6 is the modern defense, and this is how I would play against the modern defense as well. Okay, so there's our d6, and then usually knight f6 would turn it into a PIRC defense. So there's our knight f6. Okay, so I would go knight to f3. And so, I like to play very principled against openings. So if someone wants to give me the center, I will take it, just like Wei Yi is doing. And if someone wants to allow my knights to develop to the best squares, I will do that as well. Now, the downside of playing like this is that, Black's strategy is to counterattack and break down the center. So moves like c5 come to mind. And, the bishop is quite good on g7 and etc. So we might end up defending our center for a while. And if we fail to do that and it breaks down, sometimes you could just lose. And yeah, so that's something that happens to me fairly often. So, all right, castles. And okay, so there are several moves in this position that you can play. But I think one of the most interesting ones is the move e5, which is the Unzicker Attack. So I will go ahead and open the opening book. Yeah. So actually, like f4 is like the Austrian attack. So when he played f4, but usually the knight's already on c6. So this is called the pseudo Austrian attack in the modern defense. But after knight f6, and knight f3, it says we're still in it. Okay, it's only once castles takes place that we are in a mainline PIRC defense Austrian attack. And now e5 is actually not the most common move. The most common is bishop to d3, which I saw a Dubov game where he played bishop d3 and won a nice game. So that is possible. And there's also bishop to e3, which is the Kurajika variation. I don't know who that is, but okay, fine. But we're looking at this move today, which is the move e5. Okay, so e5, that's a pretty forcing move, right? We do really relinquish control of these squares a little bit when we push our pawn like this. But it does come with tempo. It attacks the knight. And, if black takes the pawn, which they probably should, the position's a little more open, which is part of why I like this move. Okay, so in the game he took, they almost always take. I know that knight fd7 is a move. And I have seen lines like this, like h4 is the main line now. This is why I want to play this opening, because like you just attack, you just go crazy sometimes, which seems fun. All right, c5 is the move. I think someone showed me this line where we sack the knight. Like we take here and we give up our knight, and then we take on f7 here. Bishop c4. Yeah. Well, this could be a whole nother video. That line looks very fun too. So anyway. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, they don't have to take the pawn, but in the game, Petrosian took the pawn, and now we're going to take with our f pawn. Because we don't want to trade queens, I don't think. I mean, I get it looks like you can do this, but I don't know. If I turn on the engine, the position's just equal after knight to h5, which is the main move. Yeah, and it looks like black actually wins this more than they lose this, so I'm not going to play that way. So we are going to take back with our f pawn. Okay, now the knight is attacked, so it should probably move. So he played knight to d5, which is, I've had this position, and I think it's right about here that my knowledge ends, and I'm not sure what to do. So, you know, I think clearly we don't really want to take the knight and bring the queen to a strong central position. I don't think we want to do that. Maybe it's an option because we could play c4, but I'm very suspicious of that. Instead, we probably need to carry on with our development. Maybe h4 is a move. It could be, because if we play h5 and we take here, we open up the rook on h1, and we compromise the safety of the black king when we do that. So h4 is probably a move. What else could we do? We could, I guess, defend the knight and the structure. That seems lame though. We could also possibly go bishop e2 or bishop d3. I'm wondering about. So I'm going to check the opening book now. Oh, I forgot about this move. Yeah, bishop to c4. Okay, I did play this in one of my games too. I mean, that forces black. That's a move that keeps the initiative in a way, because black has to do something. We're attacking the knight. All right, so in the game, Petrosian went knight to b6. I've also I've seen this idea before. It's weird to put the bishop in front of the pawn like this. But when you have like this type of thing going on and you're playing in a modern way, I think you can play this. Yeah, and that is the main line I'm seeing, is bishop to e6. So I might have to look at another game if I want to see the main line. But in this particular game, black played knight to b6, which is the second most common move. And, you know, that attacks the bishop, so it looks natural enough. Now, I would play bishop to b3, and that is what Wei Yei played. Okay, so, what would I do now? I would consider castling, and I would consider h4 maybe. I think I remember the move he plays in the game. I think it is a4. So this follows a principle that John Bartholomew has said many times in his videos, which is if there's a knight on b6 or g6, you know, or g3 or b3, those knights are subject to rook pawns. So, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't even realize it was black's turn. Okay, so knight c6, applying more pressure to the center, but we do have it sufficiently defended. So probably a4 is the move. Yeah, it is the move. Okay, so, you know, when you play this move, you're saying, I might play a5 and attack your knight. Your knight is going to have to move again. Now, let's just analyze this for a second. I think the nice thing about this plan is that our bishop on b3, you know, is taking squares away from that knight. The knight will have to drop back, all the way back, to the d7 square. Now, is that knight good on d7? It doesn't look like it. You know, he has no good options from there. So I think all of that sort of justifies this a4 move. Another thing I would be thinking about is, before I play a4, would be, okay, am I going to castle queenside? Because if I am, maybe I don't want to play a4, you know, and weaken that side of the board. And do I want to castle kingside? Because if I do, I'm not sure I want to do this h4, h5 stuff. That's what I would be thinking. Let's see what Wei Yei does. Now, Petrosian, I'm actually wondering if he should go a5 here. It's a common idea to stop the pawn push. So in the game, no, he played bishop to g4, pinning our knight. So that means that the knight is no longer protecting that. That is not protected anymore, right? So black is threatening to take, I believe. Although if I go queen takes and they go queen takes and I go knight takes, I mean, the knight's not pinned anymore, or the knight's not pinned, so we can do that. So if they take here, I would play queen takes, but do I want to trade queens? Not really. So I suppose it's a little bit of a threat. So what would I play here? Again, I think I would consider castling. And also, I guess we have to consider a5. Let's see what Wei Yei did. He did play a5. Okay. So he's saying, go ahead and take here if you want. Petrosian took here. Okay. So now if we take with a queen, black could take here. And that would attack our queen, so we don't have time to take on b6. So, So he took with a pawn. Okay, very interesting. So this is why I like looking at games by someone like Wei Yei. He's a crazy player, and he likes the games to be wild. And, well, I guess I've been transitioning to be that sort of player myself over the last 3 years. And I think it's happening because this really appeals to me when I see stuff like this. If I'm going to study lines and I'm going to study a game, I think the game might as well be wild and complicated, because then, you know, it'll be wild and complicated, and if you make one small mistake, you can lose. Well, if I'm going to study a game or memorize anything, I'd like that to be the case, you know, instead of, oh, if they put the bishop here, I'm 0.1 better because of X, Y, Z. Why do that when in a game like this, if they make one mistake, then I just win? So I'm glad that we're looking at this game. All right, so we have captured. Now, a couple things have happened that I want to take note of. When Petrosian played this way, okay, my knight is captured, which means that my center is weakened. That is one thing that I'm noticing. Another thing that I'm noticing is that our king side is very open. So I think we've given up on castling king side, but maybe we are going to castle queen side despite pushing the a pawn. That could be true. And the last thing I want to note is that Petrosian, I forget how people say it. He just gave up his light square bishop. Now, as of now, his dark square bishop is not an impressive piece, blocked by these pawns. So clearly his strategy is to break down the center. But his knight is still attacked, so he probably should move it. So bishop to c8 is what he played. Wow. Okay. So at this point, I'm noticing that black is attacking the d pawn. So what would I play in this moment? Well, I was thinking about d5 briefly, but, you know, then doesn't the knight just take? So that doesn't look so good to me. Maybe it's playable? I don't really think so. I have a bad feeling about that move. Another move we could play is bishop e3, just to defend the pawn. So I would definitely consider that. Another move we could probably consider is h4, but then knight takes, right? So, or even worse, queen takes. So I would play bishop e3. Wow. Wei Yei played knight to e2. Okay, so he found a different way to defend that pawn. I'm very curious why he used his knight and not his bishop. Very curious about that. Trying to figure it out. I don't see a reason. All right, let's turn on the engine for a second. If I go bishop e3, so actually the engine likes it just as much as the other move. Okay, and it says here black will play e6. And there's actually a game where white won in the Lichess database. So that's good to know as well. Yeah, and actually white's a lot better here already. Which makes me wonder which move does the computer not like? It doesn't like knight c6, it likes c5 here, first of all. And secondly, it doesn't like this move. This is the biggest culprit. The bishop g4 plan is apparently not very good for black because of a5, which is what Wei Yei played. If he played anything else here, it's actually good for black. Like, for example, if he played knight e2 early, and then black would play knight to a5. And I'm also wondering, like, what if black had played a5? Well, then the computer loves the white position after knight to e4. So why is that? I mean, is the knight going to come to c5 or? Yeah, I'm not sure why this is so strong here. But this is why we are looking at games like this. I do like the idea of putting the knight here, applying pressure here, because it makes it so that bishop can't so easily develop. But I'm also curious because, you know, if black's going to play a5 and give me that square, that is the move that looks appealing to me. So, okay. I have a lot to learn about chess, apparently. Okay, a5, bishop to g4. And this is the plan that the computer didn't like as much. Well, let's find out why. In the game knight to e2, and Petrosian played e6, which makes a lot of sense. in this PIRC defense, I do know that white often can play this e6 move, and this can be a very disruptive pawn push. And it can wreck the black structure, and the knight, well, there is no f3 knight, but often an f3 knight can jump into g5, and it gets wild, and the black king does not like it. So after knight e2 and e6, okay, what would I play as white? This is how I think you should study Grandmaster games, by the way. I think you should consider what their moves do, decide like what you would play, and then get new ideas when you see what they play. And so here, I mean, once again, I would be tempted to play something just like this. Like, you know, I'm a very classically trained player, and I think you should develop your pieces in castle, you know? So bishop e3 and queen d2 and castles comes to mind. But do we have anything immediate? Because, well, I'd be nervous to play anything like d5, because if anyone's king is unsafe, I feel like it's my king. And h4 is a move I would consider, I think, but can black punish me for being in the center of the board still? I think that's a good question. So if we go h4, well, I would be worried about the pawn push c5. So since there is no c5, what am I worried about then? I don't know. All right, let's see what Wei Yei played. Wow, he did play h4. Okay. So I think I might be worried about the move knight to b4. No, maybe not, because I was thinking c5. All right, if this happened, I'll turn the engine on for a second. If this happened, the computer likes to move bishop to g5. Okay, that's a tempo on the queen. Knight e7 would block that. And then they would play, we play h5 here, the engine likes. So if I went with my plan of queen d2, the engine would play c5. Okay. Yeah, and we cannot take, and now, you know, this is getting attacked. Then again, the knight used to be attacking that, now the knight isn't, so... Okay, white's still very good there, apparently. Okay, so in the game, yeah, after h4, Petrosian played knight to e7. So what is his idea with this move? He's completing his development. That's definitely one thing. Also, the knight can come to f5. And that will definitely apply more pressure to our position. And you know what? I understand now. I think I know why Wei Yei played knight e2. Because now we have this move c3 available. And that will strengthen our d4 pawn. It sort of solidifies our center. So yeah, so that knight e2 move has a point to it. I like that a lot. I mean, plus it does seem like the knight could jump in maybe to f4 and apply pressure here at some point as well. So, like for example, if black goes knight h5, a knight on f4 becomes pretty nice because we just might take on g6 at some point. Okay. Wow, so look, this is what he played. So after knight e7, he did play c3. Solidifying the center. So I have to admit, like, I'm slightly concerned about this sacrifice. Just demolishing the center. My king is in the center. And trading queens, my attack would be over. But I guess In that case, black would be down materials, so that must be not a real worry. But it would be on my radar. I would definitely keep it on my radar. Okay, so what do we think black should play? I kind of think he should play h5 here. Because if we get h5, that looks kind of pesky. Okay, but he played this move, b6. Wow. It's the top engine move. Surprisingly. Okay. That move was not on my radar either. But I guess he's saying that... Okay, what does b6 do? Definitely attacks that. If we take, he will take, and there's going to be trades down the A file because, well, we would have to trade, I think, and then black will own the A file. So he's trying to open the A file, and I think he's also trying to play knight takes A5 because if knight takes A5, that will be a tempo on our bishop. So, in a position like this, though, the question would be, can we play h5? Can we play h5? Because, okay, if we, let's just say we go h5 and he plays this, like knight takes a5. All right, let's take and open the h file. And that would threaten, you know, taking on f7 with check. So if we go h5, he goes here, you know, we take, he takes our bishop, we can throw in a check. Maybe he takes with a rook. He could also take with a queen. And then queen takes. Yeah, and I think I like that position because now the queen would be developed and putting pressure on the newly weakened e6 pawn. So I think I might play h5 here and just hold my breath and hope it's good. Okay, that is what Wei Yei played. And the engine says, yeah, h5. Okay. Okay, so what should black do here? He did play that move. Okay, so I was right about black's idea. I'm happy about that. Wow, Wei Yei did do this. Okay, so he took here. Now, should black take back here? I think yes. I think he should. I don't think he can allow me to take on f7. That seems a little crazy. Okay, so he did, and he took with the h-pawn. So now we've got this open h file to work with. Okay. The knight is attacking the bishop. This knight could come to f5. What do we want to play with the white pieces now? I'm thinking bishop g5. Let's pin that knight. And that develops a piece. It protects the rook. Does a lot of good stuff, I think. I like bishop g5. Okay, that is what he played. So black could take the bishop, play knight f5. Let's see what he did. He did take the bishop. I think we should take with the queen. For sure. That's what he did. And now c5 was played. Okay, so remember, black is being played, you know, this isn't one of my opponents rated 1600. This is a 2600 player playing this move c5. A grandmaster, in fact. And so what's his idea? I think clearly he wants to break down the center. I think also he might be wanting to place the knight behind the pawn. That might be an idea. This knight actually has a lot of great options. So I can see why he put the knight there. But the knight is also pinned for the moment. I guess the thing is, it's not so easy to break that pin. Yeah, it's like he probably wants to play queen c7, but he can't do that. So maybe that's part of the reason behind c5 also. Okay, so if we're playing white, what do we do now? I think I would castle queenside. I don't want my king on e1 anymore. And I want my other rook to get in the action. So if I could double on the H file, that has to be worth something. Wow, that is what he did. Okay, so he castled queenside. So what would Petrosian do here? Yeah, you know what? It does feel like, despite pushing that A pawn, the king feels safe over here. It really does. I mean, if this... Can I just do this? Maybe? Because then, you know, we're threatening this. So there's really no time for that because, you know, probably we could just take on e6. So, okay. Queen c7. Looks like I was right about the c5 move and wanting to break the pin. But that was a rather slow plan. It took 2 tempos to break that pin. And now white is more coordinated. So what do we do now? I think the most natural thing in the world is to just double on the H file. So maybe like rook h3. Don't forget the knight can come to f5. So we don't want to go here. Wow, this is what he played. Okay, so I'm finding some of Wei Yi's moves, which I'm happy about. Okay, so Petrosian is trying to open the position now. It's a little bit scary. Okay. If we take now, you know, bishop takes e5. Looks annoying. Very annoying. Or maybe even queen takes. Because if queen takes, our knight is, or our bishop is attacked. And if we have to spend a tempo on f4, maybe he could try to do something. I'm not sure what, though. I want to trade queens, but I'm not sure. So what do we do? Can I double? I mean, he's going to play like something like that. Then that will come a check. That looks crazy, right? Do we have to take? All right, let's see what he did. Wow, what is that? Bishop f6. All right, so Wei Yi is a very good calculator, and apparently he looked at bishop takes bishop, pawn takes c3 has to be looked at, probably knight d5 has to be looked at. So let's try to analyze a couple of these moves. I'm doing it without the engine. If black takes like this, almost certainly we would take with the pawn, right? We would do this. because now we've taken away this square, and this looks like a pretty good plan. So the knight would have to move. Maybe here or something. Yeah, and black's too slow and we're going to get mate. So I'm not sure what else black could do in that line. So I actually think maybe that is a mistake. Okay, I would not have seen that during the game. Wei Yei saw it though. So what happens if they take here because they're threatening this? I'm kind of guessing that we could just take with the knight. Like is our knight defending anything critical? No. So we can give the knight this job. Let's just plug up the file. Now, I don't know what black would do now, so I'm going to ask the engine. Knight d5. Wow, it says knight d5 and black is winning. Oh boy. So after this, we have to play this move. Wow, and if here king to b1. Oh my god. King to b1 wins. So the plan, the white attack is too strong apparently. And somehow we're safe like this? Are you kidding me? I guess we are. Because we're threatening takes, you know, check. Here, checkmate. The pawn continues to guard f6. So king b1 has to be played, and now we're threatening to win a piece, like win the bishop, well, which also threatens rook h8. So he would have to take. Wow. So it's forced to mate, basically. So black, wow, the engine move is queen c1 check, which would lose anyway, right? I would take that with a knight. So that's silly. Black has no forcing moves. Insane. Like, this is... Wow. Wow, what a move. King b1. So apparently if we take the pawn, which was kind of what I was saying, white is better, but not giving checkmate after this. Oh, it says this move. Queen e5 check. Yeah, so the king on b1 avoids this check. And we pretty much need to do that because now there's this. I mean, okay. I guess white is still better here, but we don't want to allow the counterplay. Okay, I think we analyzed that enough. Let's see what happened in the game. So after bishop f6, Petrosian played knight to d5, attacking that bishop. So if he takes, and this happens, then this dark square bishop is going to continue defending the king. Now I remember the move from the game. I hope you guys enjoy this part. Queen takes d5. Yeah, this is going to win because the queen is not part of the attack at all. The attack is simply to take the bishop, double rooks, and give mate. That's it. The knight is threatening to disrupt that plan. So we take the knight. How crazy is this? So queen sacrifice. Petrosian took. And Wei Yei didn't even take the bishop. He played rook over. I thought we should take the bishop. Wow, this loses the game. Because king takes g7. And I'm not doubled yet. Oh yeah, I'm not doubled yet. So this is not going to work. right? If I double now, I'm sure black has something. Yeah, like queen takes e5. That attacks the knight, but more importantly, the king can now escape. So this checkmating idea no longer works. So, wow. So instead of taking the bishop, he did this. And it's just mate in 3. How cool is that? So the idea is that if he takes the bishop, we will take with a pawn. And there is a check. But we could just take that. Okay, let's see what happened in the game. Wow, Petrosian played queen takes e5, sacrificing his queen. Wow, that's actually not the worst idea in the world. If we take the queen, I think we're worse now. Because bishop takes e5, and once again, the king can escape, right? Like if I go check here, check. The king gets out, and black is winning now. Yeah, I'd say black is winning because we're probably going to have to trade rooks. And in this position, I guess we have to take here. I don't know what else to do. But if we do a pawn count, you know, black is up 2 pawns. I'm sure that's winning. So you can't take the queen. But Wei Yei didn't take the queen. He played this. Wow, what a pretty checkmate. So that's check. So he has to take. So Petrosian resigned here, but, you know, if you take, there's this. And the queen can't do anything. She's X-ray defending, but it doesn't matter because the bishop's in front and the king's in check. So that is a very cool checkmate. So this game is quite awesome. Now, what I like to do with these game reviews is I want to know new middle game opening ideas. So let's identify 3 quick ones. Okay, so this started as a modern and transposed into an unzicker. Bishop c4 I like a lot. It puts pressure on that knight, you know, and it pins the f pawn and puts pressure on the f pawn. Okay, he pulled back. So knight c6, putting pressure on the white center. This is the first idea that I learned from this game. Is to play this a4 move with the idea of a5. And we're not going to be afraid of castling queenside later. Okay, this is not a commitment. This is not a commitment to go kingside. So that's the first thing I learned. Bishop g4, we can allow this move. I guess that's the second idea for me because I often play h3 to avoid this move. But we can actually push forward and take with the g pawn. Yep, and probably the third idea for me is this knight e2 idea. I would have almost certainly played bishop e3, but I love the idea of knight e2 because we want to play c3 and solidify our center. So thank you, Wei Yei, for these great ideas. And lastly, it seems like we can play bishop g5 with the idea, and this is with an open h file, with the idea of playing bishop f6 and then doubling on the h file. And this was a very, very powerful attack. This looks like something out of a Dragon Sicilian or something, doesn't it? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the game and the analysis and learned something like I did. This is Stacia, and I will be back with more chess. Okay, bye.